Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be doing my December wrap up, and I actually read 12 books in the month of December. This was the best reading month that I've had for 2024. So I was super excited to tell you guys about the books that I read. So I only read one physical book in the month of December, and that was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. We all know about this book. I can honestly say that this was not for me. It was enjoyable, but the way there was nothing else going on in the town except the romance between the two main characters, I just didn't like that much. There was no side quest, and let me take that back. There was a side quest in the fact that there was something going on with the cafe, but there was nothing else substantial besides the romance between the two main characters, is what I meant to say. So, for this book, let me read the back for you guys. It says, when Jeannie's aunt gives her the beloved Pumpkin Spice Cafe in the small town of Dream Harbor, Jeannie jumps at the chance for a fresh start away from her very dull desk job. Logan is a local farmer who avoids Dream Harbor's gossip at all costs. But Jeannie's arrival disrupts Logan's routine, and he wants nothing to do with the irritatingly upbeat new girl, except that he finds himself inexplicably drawn to her. Will Jeannie's happy go lucky attitude win over the grumpy but gorgeous Logan, or has the city girl found the one person in town who won't fall for her charm or her pumpkin spice lattes? So that was the synopsis of this book. Like I said, it was an enjoyable read. If you want something fluffy after you've read something hard, definitely pick this up. It was good for a palate cleanser. I would definitely say it's a good palate cleanser book. So next we're going to get into the other books that I read this month. The rest of the books that I read this month were urban fiction, and I think because I jumped into an urban fiction book while I was still reading The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, that really also set me off to pretty much get into urban fiction. Like it has me in a chokehold right now, y'all. So after I read The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, I read Bambi, and then I read Bambi 2, and then Bambi 3. And so Bambi is by Lady Nisha, and it is a series revolving around Bambi and King. Those are two main characters. And then we also have Tristan and Shayla. So Bambi and Shayla are cousins, and then Tristan and King are brothers. And the way it just follows a story of how each couple gets together as well as the obstacles that they have to face. And like I said, it's urban fiction. It's a great book. The way that King and Tristan are raised is very unconventional. They are raised in a house of prostitutes. So it's very interesting. It's an interesting story. And I never thought that I would enjoy or love that book that much. That was one of my top reads of 2024, Bambi and all the spinoffs that it has. Like, I really enjoyed the series. So, next, I went into Fraud by Lady Nisha because once I read Bambi and I read all three books, I wanted to read the rest of Lady Nisha's catalog. So, I jumped into Fraud, and Fraud is about Pieces, which is a factory, and the person that was working at Pieces, the main character, I would say, is Davy. And the person that he ends up getting caught up with, her name is Alexis. And his girlfriend, I believe her name was Zoe. So Fraud deals with the way that work romances should not happen. And that's all I'm gonna say. Fraud was an interesting read, and it also wasn't that long, but I definitely enjoyed it. Next, we jumped into Envy Me, and Envy Me is also by Lady Nisha. It follows the story of Lincoln and Nikki, and Lincoln and Nikki are in a great relationship. They also have a great working relationship as they figured out what they do in business, and I'm just gonna say it's illegal. So they're doing their illegal business, and then Lincoln's brother, Will, gets out of prison. So on Nikki's side, she also has a cousin named Shelly who's very jealous of her and pretty much wants her life and she wants her man. And so we go on a wild ride with these four because Lincoln and Nikki are just trying to live a good life as opposed to Will and Shelly, who are so jealous and envious of them both and trying to bring them down. So that is the synopsis of Envy Me. Then I went back to Holidays with the Carters, and Holidays with the Carters is pretty much a segue into Tristan and Shayla's story. So Bambi and King were the main characters of Bambi, and The Holidays with the Carters is about Bambi and King, but it's pretty much a segue into Tristan and Shayla's story, and we do a deep dive into their relationship and what they need to do to make it work and the obstacles that they have to face. And when I tell you it's a lot of obstacles, it's a lot of obstacles. It's a lot going on. So it was entertaining and a great fun read. All of Lady Nisha's reads are like that. So definitely pick up something by her. So next I went into Here We Go Again, which is the complete story of Tristan and Shayla. But if you haven't read the Bambi series, I highly suggest that you read Bambi first before you go into Here We Go Again. So read Bambi, then Holidays with the Carters, then go into Here We Go Again, which is about Tristan and Shayla. So next I read Stay Scheming, and that's also by Lady Nisha. And I don't know if I said Here We Go Again is by Lady Nisha, but it's by Lady Nisha. So then I read Stay Scheming, which is by Lady Nisha, and that is about Bree, Paige, and Mozzie. Bree, Paige, and Mozzie. I cannot remember the other character's name, but it's Mozzie, Soleil, Paige, and then there's also twins in this story. But the synopsis of this book is that Bree is jealous of Paige, and she'll do whatever she needs to do to get her man away from Paige. So the story starts out that Bree is with this guy who is the main male character. I forget his name, but if I can find it, I'll put it on the screen. And they're together at first, but they're not really together. It's just like something to do. And Paige comes to town, and the main male character is enamored with her. Like from the first look, he's like, "I want her." So Paige pretty much has Bree's man, and Bree is upset about it. Now she also has these two cousins. Paige is has these two cousins who are twins who happen to be friends with Bree. But once Paige comes to town, Bree starts to show more of her true colors, which, in my opinion, she was already showing because she was acting crazy. So the twins pretty much stopped being her friend as well. But Stay Scheming was a interesting read for sure. Definitely pick it up if you're trying to read something different. So next I read Mrs. Claus is a Serial Killer. And to be honest, y'all, that is by Fatima Monroe. I wasn't really feeling this short novella. It's pretty much the story of Mrs. Claus and how her husband can't keep it in his pants, and so she's upset and she's going around taking out everybody that he looks at. That's that's the gist of the story. And I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. If y'all like that book, if anybody liked that book, please let me know what you liked about it. And maybe it's because I didn't read it in one sitting, and I think that it's meant to be read in one sitting, but I did not read it in one sitting. So if anybody liked that book, please let me know what you liked about it. Mrs. Claus is a Serial Killer. So the next book that I read was called Every Voice Ain't From God, and that is by Tanisha Stewart, if I'm not mistaken. And that tells the story of Zakari and I forget the female main character's name. Zakari, the female main character, I'm just going to tell y'all a quick synopsis of the book. They were together in high school, and the female main character decides that she doesn't want to be with him. She wants to go off to college and be free and not be worried about, a relationship. So she decides to do that. While she's at college, she ends up meeting another guy. They end up getting engaged. And when she comes back, I believe to her hometown because they're both from around the same area, they come back to their hometown, and her ex-boyfriend Zakari is pretty much jealous of the guy that she's engaged to. So he goes out of his way to try and get his girlfriend back from high school. So it is a crazy story. It takes you on a wild ride. And I believe that the way she described it was a Christian romance thriller. And I think that's a great explanation. So yeah, it was an interesting story. Definitely pick it up. And then the last book that I read is called Phoenix 4G by Brianne Deney. And that is a book that's in a series, or yeah, it has a sequel to it. So there's Phoenix 4G, and once you read Phoenix 4G, you have to read Still Phoenix 4G by Brianne Deney as well, because the way the first book leaves off, you have no choice but to read the second book. Like you have to read it. So that book follows the lives of four individuals. So it's two different couples. So it follows the life of Nataria, Diami, Haiz, and Kaylin. So we have Diami and Notoria, and the way that they met was in a bank. And then we also have Kaylin and Haiz. I'm not sure if I'm saying these names correct because they're very different, very beautiful names. And the way Haiz and Kaylin met was at his daughter's daycare. She's an after school teacher and she's also a student. So it takes us on a journey of people wanting to stay out of the streets. And when I say people, I mean the men wanting to be out of the streets and not be concerned with, that life anymore and live a good, clean life. And it's an interesting story. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the books that I read this month. So if I had to say what was my favorite book this month, I would definitely say probably the Bambi series because I just loved it so much. But y'all should take a moment to at least look at the synopsises of all the books that I mentioned and let me know what you're reading right now. I just finished Pretty Hurts by Alicia J, and that book took me on a wild ride. So let me know what you're currently reading. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.